Holzman, and this is Confessions of an SEO. This is where I'm sharing my experiences in SEO, both as an SEO and as an SEO tester. And the purpose behind this podcast is to bring SEOs together with the businesses that they serve and experience a more reasonable balance of power. Yes, I understand the business writes the check, but the investment is in their business. And the professional SEO learns how to rank through the science of how Google works. And to do that means an investment of time and money on our part because Google keeps their cards close to their chest. So if you're an independent or agency SEO, I definitely get you. I was also a local business owner of a DVD and CVD duplication studio for a long time. And I understand trying to understand better. And the only tool we often had as business owners was micromanaging and getting cost estimates. So my advice is stay receptive, no matter how smart you are, no matter what your title. You're not an SEO. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 22 of Confessions of an SEO. Turns out that this year's Mountain Series was a bit more than a regular person could do. So I had to let some extra things go. And for the first time in all the years I've worked remotely during the summer, I only worked on my stuff, and I was not trying to work full days once we got to Vermont. And I have to say, it was very addicting. I highly recommend it. I have always told people that being there is how I restore my soul. It turns out I just needed a little extra this year. So that's what happened, and this is now, and I'm back. So I thought it might be fun to talk a little bit about the big anniversary that's coming up for the indexation project. Tomorrow is the 730th day, or as I like to say, the second anniversary. And this is when I took on testing indexation every day. So it's been for 2 years. And so over this weekend, technically, I guess we're at year 3 of the indexation research project. So that sounds crazy, right? But it seems like this stuff never ends. If you are in SEO, you know we're technically still within the latest update. But truthfully, there was really only a 2-day window between known testing events that the research project has allowed me to sort of be able to observe. We're like 2 days where that was even possible. And now we're in a seemingly scoring phase. So I described it to a colleague. Where we are right now, I think, is there are people out there whose sites either have done or will do what I call a Lazarus. They've risen from the grave. And then there are people whose sites are a little more like dead man walking. They're dead, but they don't even know it. And they won't know it until their neck of the woods on the index has been rescored. But it's definitely a weird update. And I just want to say, make sure to reach out if you're experiencing either side of the possibilities. My friend Marie Yasayas and she and I are starting to talk a little more. And so expect that we're going to have a little more to jointly share, specifically on sites that are hit during and after particular updates. The short version is, don't be disappointed, but you probably are not hit by an EAT issue. Now, for non-SEOs, this is not about a diet or what one would eat. It's short for experience, authority, and trust. Google loves to use these words, and they sound like, when people repeat them, that they know what they're talking about. But it has to be measurable. It has to be something that can be found. Something that if you can't measure it, it doesn't exist practically when it comes to this type of testing. Now, in this week, there's evidence that Google stopped taking in new content, or at least serving it. And right around the time that all that happened, we got word that the update was rolling out on the 22nd of August. So meanwhile, I guess you could still say the jury is out on what's being done. But let's just say Google will call it a reward for better content. Better content to Google, in my opinion, is a simple concept. It's not intent. Better content, like what we used to understand when we were back in high school, right? Easier to read, got an A from the teacher. But basically, again, as I see it, it is relevancy. And do all the other data streams that Google, looks at to score content, does it reflect a positive response to that content? So that whole mouthful is basically the SEO equivalent of buy low, sell high if you want to succeed in stocks. Now, I have my theory. And if you've watched any of the crawl or no crawl video reports on YouTube, you know how fascinated I am by the helpful content system. But I think I digress a little bit because the indexation research, that's where I want to go. So the good news is despite the update, I have launched new content into it every day. And so far, every test page has gotten through the indexation system, from being published to being found by its keywords in Google within 24 hours or less. So, woohoo, this is great. So you'd think like there's nothing left, but I don't want to disappoint you. There are rumors that the Google indexing API might have changed. So starting on year 3, day 1, I'm going to start testing the API as a way to submit new content. And I want to see if it behaves the same or different. So stay tuned. And another happy event I'd like to share is that the long-awaited indexing or indexer system that rose out of this research should be available in beta sometime in the month of September. Now, I need you all to light your candles and send all good wishes that moving from here forward, things are smooth sailing. If you've ever developed software, things like that, it's lots of, do a lot of things and then things stall a little bit. So I'm excited to be able to meld this data into something that can help all those content creators and backlink makers out there who need to get their content into Google. Likely, it'll be a subscription model. And I want to say yes, it will mean that I will take the indexation research, which I have been sharing publicly now for over 2 years. I will turn it into a special bonus for those who subscribe. And I'm sure I'll mention indexation occasionally here, and likely for the sponsors, I'll see if I can make it to where they will have access to the research regardless. Now, to this week. Remember back in January, I put on my wish list for 2023 things that I wanted to either get more knowledgeable about or more skillful in. One of those was CTR. Now, that's short for click-through rate data. Now, I won't go into the details here, but I can say be careful what you wish for because you just might get it. I spent the good part of the last week drinking from the fire hose, so to speak, and I have to tell you, it's happening. So if I'm not going to tell you the details, what am I going to talk to you about it? Well, as I was putting this week's topic together, I was thinking about how I thought it was going to be back in January. Like, oh, this will be simple, blah, 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 blah. And I remember back to a time before I was an SEO, it was also the start of a new year. Looking at dates, I'm pretty sure it was January 2029 when I was invited to a vision board making party. Now, if you don't know what those are, you can Google it. They are pretty fun. It's when you can just spend time thinking about what you want to be, and all the while with scissors and glue, and you create a collage on a big piece of construction cardboard. I still have what I made back in that year. And it was when I was running the CD DVD shop, and I was so frustrated. Amongst many things I was frustrated at. But the biggest problem was having to wait for and suffer my website designer to make every and any change I wanted. Things that I wanted to reword or to add a photo of a sample. I put on that board in this designated area about, things I wanted to learn about in 2029. And I kid you not, I looked at it, and stuck on that board are the words, websites made easy, and explore your curiosity. Within 3 months, I was driving up to Dallas to attend my first information selling conference. It was at that Armin Morin conference where I accidentally and unknowingly sat next to his SEO guy for the entire weekend, only to realize on the last day, because the last presentation was his, where he talked about SEO and what it did to help people, not just their business, but their families. And he was a business owner and he used it for himself. And then he helped others. And honestly, while everybody else that was there sat back in their seats, anxious for the event to end, I kind of got to see my future and knew at the very least it would never again include waiting months for my web designer. That's why I say, be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. Well, that's it for this week. Check out Crawl or No Crawl reports for new findings in the ongoing indexation research while you can. Thank you to the supporters of Confessions. Thank you for being a listener. Please come back and bring a friend. Now, if you like this type of SEO content and stories, become a monthly sponsor or maybe leave a review on Spotify, Amazon, Alexa, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to Confessions. Because if you can't do one, please do the other. It's been my pleasure to be with you today, and I'll see you in the SERPs.